What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about why the Dark Pictures Anthology, The Devil in Me, is such an important game, mainly and specifically for the studio, Supermassive Games. Why is it such an important game? Well, this video may contain a little, some hot takes, so hopefully you guys are okay with that. But here's the situation, right? We had them making Until Dawn, and I talked about it many, many times. Until Dawn is one of my favorite games of all time. It really put them on the map. There's really no way around that. And they rode off that success, and they wanted to do something different, right? But something also kind of the same. So instead of making Until Dawn 2, they wanted to go for an anthology route, which I think is cool, and obviously, by definition of what it is, you know, jumping around different subgenres of horror and different time periods and different characters and different supernatural things. You could have a lot of different stuff happening, right? Really, I think would work with, and obviously they thought the same thing because they did it, with what Supermassive Games does. So they made Man of Medan, they made Little Hope, they made House of Ashes, right? We've had those 3 games in a row. Now, I think they've progressively gotten better. I'm not alone in thinking that, but I'm definitely not everybody in thinking that. I've definitely seen people that have said, you know, Man of Medan is their favorite or Little Hope is their favorite. It is something kind of special with these games that everybody finds maybe something they like, you know, that's slightly different than somebody else. And that's all part of this. That's all part of this. So you had those 3, and then you also had The Quarry. Now, The Quarry was kind of separate, still from Supermassive Games, but not from the same team that does these anthology games. This was actually from the creative minds and creative heads that did Until Dawn. They made The Quarry, and actually they're making another new game right now as well. Again, separate from Dark Pictures. So now we have The Devil in Me, and this is the end of Season 1, right? This is the Season 1 finale, and, you know, we've seen the trademarks of the other, you know, the logos and the other names of them. It looks like there's easily, at least, another, like, 4 or so to go. So they could easily do Season 1, 4 games, and then Season 2, another 4 games, right? So there's a couple of reasons why this game is so important. Number one, it continues to build off of what they've done before. So House of Ashes, I was really looking at as, okay, this is the game. They really need to nail this because the talent is there. I know they have the talent. They were put on the map for a reason. Let's kind of recapture it. And in my opinion, they did. House of Ashes is easily the best of the 3. I think House of Ashes is probably slightly better than The Quarry, but not as good as Until Dawn. So it'd be like Until Dawn, House of Ashes, The Quarry, etc., etc. That'd kind of be my ranking. So, you know, by what I was just saying, this next game, The Devil in Me, you gotta continue it. So for me, they've gotten better. Each one has gotten better. And so you have to continue that trend with this game. You also, as a company, right, you're looking at, okay, well, every year we're releasing a game. We got to make sure this next game is hopefully at least up to snuff with the game before, if not better. Plus, when you got like 4, 5, 6 games coming out, you know, over the next 10 years like they're planning, you got to make sure each one of these sells, is somewhat high quality, right, so it can sell. But another thing I struggle with, and this is maybe where the controversy, the hot take comes in, is I do think they've kind of backed themselves into a corner. And I've thought this for a while, okay? I've thought this for a while. I've been saying this probably ever since Little Hope, in that releasing these games yearly, they're starting to run into issues. In my opinion, they're running into issues because they're starting to lack, in my opinion, like innovation, taking that next step to being with the leaders in the industry, if not more. I've always said this, like Until Dawn, well, especially at the time Until Dawn came out, it was ahead of its time in a lot of ways. But even technology, how the game ran, the visuals, you know, matching the actors' likeness, right? I thought it was really good. I think in a way it still kind of holds up. Since Until Dawn, I really think they've kind of flatlined. They really haven't taken those next steps. And now part of it's by design. I always say this, and I don't really see other people saying this, but there were interviews done leading into actually all of these games, the Dark Pictures games. They've been on record saying, like, they're using the same formula. The whole goal of this is to use the same formula, same gameplay tricks, right? They're even using some of the same casts that they've used in past games, and they're just building new areas, new situations of why they're there, right? New horror elements, all of that stuff. And, you know, to some extent, that's fine, okay? But they've been very clear with that. Now, this newest game, right, The Devil in Me, they have actually made it a point to say they've added some gameplay elements. There is going to be some changes there. They've gotten better with the multiplayer stuff, with co-op and watching people play and all, right? They've taken steps there. But the game specifically, I would say, in how it runs, how it looks, I think is really stagnated, where it doesn't look like it's not leading anything. And I've brought this up. If you look at the character models in the newest game, The Devil in Me, And then you take a look at, take another example, Plague Tale Requiem, God of War. Now, yes, Plague Tale is a small studio. There actually isn't much of an excuse why you can't match them. You look at God of War, okay, maybe Sony, all their money, all their resources, right? There's just something lacking. And I've been saying that for a while. The characters in this game, I don't know their personalities. They could be great characters. The actors and actresses could be awesome. I'm not taking shots there. They just don't look alive. They don't look like they're real people, as compared to some of the bigger games or some of the standout games that have released recently. And I'm not saying it as, well, this game is better than that game. I'm saying because of the yearly thing and the quick turner. We've seen this. Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty. Call of Duty's on a rotation. Assassin's Creed was kind of on a rotation. But I guess EA Sports, anybody ever heard of those games, right? We know what happens when studios make games too quickly, right? You have to lack things. Ultimately, things get left out. There's not innovation push. Some things aren't upgraded when they should be. This is a literal thing that happened. And I am worried about that. I am. So there's a couple ways to get around this. So I'm not here to just call out problems. I'm also here to offer somewhat solutions in a limited capacity. Here's two things that needs to happen. Number one, I'm hoping this game is good, right? Hope it's better than the last game. The last game I liked quite a bit. I thought the cast was overall the most solid. Elements, of the story, the villains, the supernatural elements, all really good. And this one has potential, right? The kind of like Jigsaw, Saw-like things that are going on in this game, I really like it. It's obviously a different genre of horror than what they've done before, and I think they can nail it. So I really hope this game is just good. It's just a solid game. We all have fun with it, and it sells well, all that stuff. More importantly than that, though, is I want a break. I want a break for theirs, not for me. I could play these games yearly. I could cover them yearly. It's literally my job on YouTube to do this, right? But I think from their perspective, and I don't know how they do it, if there's like more than one team. There is a team that does like the Quarry and now whatever comes next, and then there's also this Dark Pictures team. But I don't know if there's more than one team there in that situation either, right? Because if you're doing a game a year, that is kind of a problem. Remember also one final thing, they wanted to do these every 6 months. The original goal was to make 8 games in 4 years. That was their plan. Every year you'd have 2 games at, on opposite sides of the year. That was their original plan. Now, I think the, stuff around the world, let's say, completely destroyed that, so that's not going to happen. But that was their original idea, and that's very ambitious. They need a break because I think they need time to stop and innovate. And I say that like maybe it sounds so aggressive and I'm picking on all these people's jobs. Not really. I literally want what's best for them, and I want them to show their talent because I think they have talent. It's what I was saying. If you have to make a game every year, you're going to have to leave stuff out. You're going to rush. You're going to leave stuff behind. Like all of those things apply. So take a couple of years, restock, update your engine, do a new engine, whatever the situation may be, and then and then you have it. You already have a plan. You have season 1. And I kind of assume that's what they're going to do. I don't know that for sure, because again, the plan was 8 games in 4 years. Then they changed it to it's a game a year. And so is season 2 the first game next year? Or because now they've kind of opened it up for themselves where they could say, all right, this was the end of season 1. Give us 2 years this time, and then we'll come back with season 2, and then we'll do 4 games in a row every year. I'd be okay with that, because I think that 2-year gap would be enough time, or maybe not. Maybe you actually need more time than that, but it would be a start where I think you'd be able to kind of reload, restock, and then hit us with some more stuff. So that's what I'm hoping. And then, in terms of why the Devil in Me is so important, it's because of those reasons, right? Firstly, you need the game to do well and be successful to even get the next ones, but you have to prove that you're not taking steps back. That's what I think each of these games have had to do, and all of them have failed except for, in my opinion, the last one. As I've said, there's different things that are strengths in these games. People find different strengths. The idea that you can make choices in like a kind of like a Twitch watch party for these games is very rare, right? It's a pretty unique feature that they kind of created in the mainstream in the way they've done it. So that alone has kind of really helped these games. The Quarry had really good numbers when it came out. House of Ashes had really good numbers. People are engaged when these games come out. The horror genre always wants more games and will always accept the games just in general, and including these ones, right? So I'm not saying like it's all bad or they've done everything wrong, because they haven't, and they've done plenty of things right. But I do think this game needs to be successful. It needs to prove that To me, House of Ashes wasn't a one-off because right now I've only liked 1 out of 3. So you got, make it 2 out of 4. And then you got to show, all right, we can take some steps in some directions, but also we kind of need a break. We kind of need to stop for a little while and then, reload. And hopefully they're able to do that. I will be covering this game when the game comes out in just a few days. We'll have plenty of videos out, and I hope to see you guys on those. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.